Hello, I am Andrea Ramsey, and I was so looking forward to conducting at Jacksonville SINGS this year, but now I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping for next year. But thanks to technology, we're still able to be together in this way, which is great. And so I'm so happy to be part of the University of North Florida Jacksonville SINGS Virtual Week to share some thoughts and to answer some questions that Cara solicited on social media. So we'll get started. I printed these off. It's very exciting. Where do you get inspiration and how do you couple it with text? So I'm a really firm believer that inspiration is everywhere. We just have to be paying attention. And that sounds like a cop-out, but I don't mean it to be. I really think if I stared at that blue pillow long enough, we could find something in the texture, something in the design of it that would be inspiring. And I'm experiencing that firsthand. Obviously, when I'm traveling, when I'm in new scenery, something that's beautiful, interacting with people, reading a book, there are things that can inspire. But even now, just walking in my own neighborhood, if I'm paying attention to the fact that these flowers are more bloomed out today than they were yesterday, those kinds of things lend themselves to creativity. The next part of that question was, how do you couple it with text? And that's a little bit trickier. So maybe I'm writing, maybe I get inspired. Like sometimes the inspiration comes from the idea itself, and then you go looking for a text that fits that mold. But more often than not, I'm finding a really beautiful text and reading. I come across it and I say, oh, I want to set this to music. And for me, the music comes out of those words. So if I start with a phrase, if we were going to set "this pillow is blue" to music, there's a natural rhythm in those words. This pillow is blue, ba-da-ba-da-ba. And I can choose to use that, this pillow is blue. And that might be fine, and if I have a lot of words, it's actually a great way to get through them. But if not, I'm going to think about what words are important. Pillow, blue, how do I show that? Do I make one of those words longer or louder, or with some really cool chord happening there? And usually I just walk around my apartment here and I sing to myself and I play with sound until I come across something I like. And when I'm in that process, I usually have voice memo on to record it in case there's something good that I can't remember that I did. So anyway, I hope that answers that question. Awesome. Next question, what is your favorite chord and or scale? It's really weird because I feel like, I don't know, I like harmonic minor. Like that's a fun scale. I don't know, it's kind of haunting. Favorite chord is tricky though. I don't feel like I have a favorite chord. I feel like they all are beautiful in certain purposes that they have. Maybe, I don't know, I did kind of crush on diminished chords for the last couple movements of Suffrage Cantata, which I've been working on. This is a big project that maybe I'll tell you about if we have more time. Incidentally, I'm doing this all in one take. If my cat appears, awesome. If he doesn't, sorry. But I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to be real. You're going to get what you get from me here in my apartment in Kansas City. All right. Next question. Do you enjoy being part of the creative process with an ensemble who is learning your music, or do you prefer to hear their offering of your music without your influence on its creation? That's a great question. And I feel like the answer is yes. Like I really love workshopping with a group and being part of that process. And I also really love when I get to hear it and I haven't heard it before and someone does something that I didn't think about. I think most composers have a sort of an acceptable window of interpretation. So some composers, it might be really narrow. They might want it exactly the way that they do it. Other composers have fun with it, explore. I have a pretty big window. I do have a window, but I want to hear those interpretations because often a really good conductor will pull things sometimes out of my music that I didn't even know was there. So it's great. Do you have any favorite go-to sources for texts? There's a joke among composers that when we get together, we will talk about taxes, but we will not talk about text sources because nobody wants somebody getting to that poem before they do. So I will tell you that used bookstores are a great resource. There's a lot of resources online. Lately, I've been kind of exploring prose. So looking through old documents, like Library of Congress type stuff, seeing what I can find. A lot of that was tied, again, to Suffrage Cantata, which is this big 37-minute work. It's my first time ever doing extended work, and I'm super amped about it. And then COVID hit, and it's a little tricky, but there will be a film premiere, so that'll be good. How do you work through a slump or a dry spell? For me, I usually put it away. If I'm not on a tight deadline and I can afford to take a day off, that's what I do. And I go into nature, I go to a museum, I hang out with friends, I spend time away, I watch a movie or read a book, but I leave it. And then I come back to it. And I try, Julia Cameron, I think, had that book, The Artist's Way, and she talked about creativity sort of being this stocked pond that we can overfish. And so we refill it by having other life experiences. If I don't have time, and I really am on a tight deadline, and I can't take a day, then I take a nap. Or I listen to like a calming app that like a meditation app, or just play some chill out music or a very soothing podcast, and I take a break and I come back to it and I keep going, and you work through it. Sometimes I'll try to get out of a slump by going to the end, and like I'll write the ending and then I try to connect them. Sometimes I can get out of a slump by putting weird boundaries on myself, like saying, if I had to get out of this place using only one note, which note would I choose? Or if I had to get out of this using only two parts, which voices would I use? Sometimes those things help as well. One time I rearranged my whole living room because I was really stuck. Yeah, I don't think it mattered. Anyway. All right, Braden. Oh, wait, hang on. Let's see. I just gave it away. This is another composer. I wasn't telling names on anybody, but Braden Ayers, I'm going to out him because he's writing some great music. He wrote, who are your favorite artists outside choral music, if any? And I love, there's so many artists, and I've actually started listening to choral music more in this pandemic, but I still listen to other music. I try to listen to all genres. So I really love, if I'm cleaning my house, I'm listening to Wolfpack or Laura Mvula lately. I like both of them. But I also like the Goat Rodeo Sessions, and they have a second album that's really good too. There's just so much great music. Good question. Also check out Braden's music. All right. What is a text that has always moved you, but you haven't set it to music? Why haven't you set it? Oh my gosh. This is a really good question, and I kind of want, actually I'm going to get the text. Hang on. I'll be right back. Okay, do we have time? I don't know if I can read a poem. I'm going to read you part of this poem. No, maybe I'm just going to read the whole poem. Mary Oliver, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across landscapes, over prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. I love that text. The only reason I haven't said it is because Mary Oliver won't let me. She's no longer with us, but she doesn't want her pieces set to music. So, beautiful. All of her poetry. Is the process of composing always the same for you? No. It almost always starts with a text. I would say 85% of the time, but sometimes it starts with me just playing around at the piano with the text in mind. Sometimes I'll go out and just sit at the park and maybe take the GarageBand or a cappella app and improvise a melody line and then improvise a bass line and go from there. Yeah. Next question, are you wearing a mask? Not right now, but in public, inside, absolutely. I have too many friends who are doctors and nurses. It's too important. We want to keep people alive. Last question, do you think your music represents you? Is there something that ties all your pieces together? If so, do you feel comfortable with that, or do you feel pressure to keep innovating? I think my music is honest, and most pieces represent me. Sometimes if I was rushed, they're not as great. But I feel comfortable with that. There are some things that recur in my pieces, and I know that. You can't get away from, your ear likes a certain sound, and sometimes that happens. But I try not to always be that way, and I try to write in new ways and explore things. I don't feel pressured to be the next most original thing. I don't subscribe to that all music has to be doing something that's never happened before. But I do think it needs to be honest, and it needs to have intent and meaning behind it. And that part matters. Can we connect with it? Can other people connect with us? So Anyway, I'm at time. Thank you so much, Florida. Bye.